It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning broadcast covering fishing, hunting, and outdoor recreation throughout the great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, producing a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter, and by Loophole, America's optical authority. Also sponsoring the show every week is Shiloh Inn & Suites, offering affordable excellence throughout the West. Mardon Resort, the place to fish and hunt in eastern Washington, and the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, where nature is on display in Northeast Oregon all year long. And now, let's head into the field with your host, John Cruz.
So how was your Memorial Day weekend? Did you get some camping in? I know a lot of people did. Maybe you got to go hiking. With so little snowpack in the mountains in much of the Northwest, there are already alpine lakes accessible that wouldn't normally be reachable for another month. I saw a lot of folks hauling mountain bikes on the backs of their RVs during the holiday weekend, and it's certainly a good time to go pedal on paved roads, trails, or country roads, or Forest Service roads right now. Turkey season has ended as of this weekend, and by many accounts, it was a good one for turkey hunters this year in our region. But the one constant this spring has been the great fishing. It's literally been hot all over the Northwest, and salmon has been on the minds of many. With salmon in mind, especially spring Chinook, we're going to be talking to guide Jody Smith about the great fishing for springers, smallmouth bass, shad, and a bonus species you probably hadn't thought about, all available right now on Western Oregon's Umpqua River. You want more salmon? We've got it. Lance Mers with Max Lure Company is going to be talking salmon fishing too during an extended Max Minute, where he shares a new lure you're going to want to try if you use herring or anchovies for bait when you are fishing for springers. Lance has also been fishing for smaller salmon too. I'm talking about that tasty freshwater species known as the kokanee salmon. Lance just got back from a fishing trip to a little-known kokanee fishing lake in the Idaho Panhandle that's easily accessible for our listeners tuning into our show in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, St. Mary's, or Missoula. You'll definitely want to hear this fishing report and exactly what lake it's coming from. We've got fishing reports as well from our friends at Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir, and some offbeat outdoor news about a rare, gigantic worm found this month south of Moscow, Idaho. When I'm talking big, I'm talking really big. This is an interesting story. On top of all this, we'll be talking to Candy Yao in just a couple of minutes, too. Candy is the co-host of a big game hunting television show called Extreme Desire TV. She hails from Lapine, Oregon, and is putting together the second annual Ladies Hunt Camp taking place June 12th through the 14th near Salem, Oregon. Sounds like a lot of fun. We're going to tell you all about it. If you are a woman over the age of 16 who wants to learn from some of the top female instructors around about hunting, survival skills, wildlife photography, and Dutch oven cooking, this camp is for you. But first, David Sparks has got another edition of Sportsman Spotlight for you. This week, David checks in with Keith McDowell, a fish guru who works at the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Puyallup, Washington. Keith has got the latest about the timing of the bass spawn west of the Cascades, something you bass anglers are going to want to listen to. Sportsman Spotlight is sponsored by Nate Luther's Guide Service. I'm actually taking my family fishing with Nate this weekend in Hell's Canyon for smallmouth bass and sturgeon, and we'll be reporting back to you how the trip went in a couple of weeks. You can book your own trip with Nate by going to his website right now at NateLuthersGuideservice.com.
A call to Sportsman's Warehouse sales associate and fish guy Keith McDowell. David Sparks with Sportsman Spotlight. If you've been listening recently, it should be patently obvious to you why Keith McDowell at Sportsman's Warehouse in Puyallup, Washington is absolutely one of my favorite correspondents. He knows all things fishing.
Thank you for holding this, Keith. How can I help you today?
It's my favorite correspondent for Sportsman Spotlight.
Hey, what's up, boss? Didn't we just talk like a week ago?
We did, and I made 3 stories out of it. Now, I got some questions about bass.
Okay.
First of all, when are the bass on their nest?
Around here, they're starting to come in right now. Between basically for probably now until the next few weeks, we've had them in crappie fishing. We've seen some of the bass pushing into the shallows. They're definitely pushing in right now, at least on this side of the mountains. We've actually had a largemouth grab about a 7-inch crappie and rip it off our hook. So
That is eerily reminiscent of the stories that Rob Maxey has recently been telling us about sea lions being aggressive. This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
In the depth of Hell's Canyon, a monster sturgeon swims within the waters of the Snake River. He measures anywhere from 6 to 11 feet long and weighs out not in pounds, but in hundreds of pounds. You can fight him and you can catch him, but you'll need help to do so. That's where Nate Luther comes in. He's been navigating the rapids within Hell's Canyon for years and knows how to catch these sturgeon like no other man on the water. Find out more by going to Nate Luther's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after, whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your camping equipment and fishing gear and head out to Northeast Oregon, where you'll find the views are endless, the air crisp and clean, and the water's cold and clear. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it.
Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're talking to our old friend Jody Smith, owner of Jody Smith Guide Service. Jody, you're fishing down on the Umpqua River down there in Western Oregon, and this is a really interesting time of year because there's a lot going on the Umpqua in terms of fisheries, isn't there?
There he is. It's a good time of year to be living down here on the Umpqua.
I'm sure it is, and I fished it before, had a great day fishing for smallmouth bass, want to fish for more, but let's start off with what's got a lot of attention, the Spring Chinook Run. How's it been so far this year? What do you expect for the springers as we roll into early June?
You know, this year's been kind of like all the rivers in Oregon are pretty low. We haven't had any snowfall, so the river's a little bit lower than normal and a little bit warmer, so that means moss. There's been quite a few fish caught, but it's clear water, warmer water than average. And when the sun comes up in the afternoon, the bite's pretty much dead.
What's the go-to technique on the Umpqua for Spring Chinook?
You know, it's either running anchovies, some guys can put a little blade on it or not, running spinners, and this year it seems like the rage has been running maglip.
Really?
Yeah, downsizing to the maglips. So we're running like the K15 Quickfish, and now we're running like the 4.0 maglips and having really, really good success with them, either with a sardine wrap, a herring wrap, or some of the guys are using tuna balls.
And how long do you expect this fishery to go on the Umpqua?
It'll go through the 15th to 20th of June usually. It just depends on if we get some weather. There's always a late push, a fish in the middle of June, the end of June.
And one other question I've got to ask, because different rivers, different size fish, different fish classes seem to be predominant. What's the size fish you're seeing this year when it comes to springers on the Umpqua?
I'd say 16 to 25 is probably the average fish being caught this year. It seems like it's a little down this year from years past. I know on years past I've had my average fish about 23 pounds.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take 16 to 25 pound springers all day long, so that's great.
That would work, huh?
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's go from really big fish to really small but fun fish. The Umpqua's got its very own shad fishery, and not a lot of people talk about it. Tell our listeners about fishing for shad on the Umpqua.
Okay, shad, I think it's the third most fish in the Umpqua River of any run in Oregon. Of course, the Columbia is the best, but there's a lot less pressure. It's a little bit different than it is on the Columbia. There's not much back trolling, and spoons don't seem to work that well down here. You have to find the tail out, or there's a little bit of holding water at the bottom of a rapid, and a little 32nd ounce jig head or a 16th ounce jig head with a little tiny grub on it. Any color will work as long as it's pink.
Yeah. Interesting. I've done that drill below Bonneville Dam where you're basically casting like a half to 3/4 ounce weight and basically quartering down a shad dart, which is basically just a jig head with nothing on it. But here you're basically are you using a shad dart or just any sort of jig?
Just a little jig head. A lot of the times we tie our own. Mm-hmm. Just a little tiny, like a shad fly or something. But the nice thing about the Umpqua is you can just add 2 or 3 split shots about 18 to 24 inches up from your hook, and most of the fish we're catching are caught in 4 feet of water to about 10 to 11 feet. So it's a lot shallower water. So you can go by with a little bit smaller, lighter tackle. And, of course, they fight really, really hard. So that makes it a lot of fun.
Oh, I love shad fishing. They are really scrappy fighters, and they're not great table fare, but if you're looking for sturgeon bait or crab bait, they're great for that. Let's talk about something else. I know on the Columbia on a good day, you can come home with like 25, 35 shad. What's it like on the Umpqua on a good day?
Good day, you can catch a couple hundred.
Jeez!
We've caught 60 and 100 casts before. One time we were taking land at 60 and 100 casts. I mean, an average day on a normal day is between 15 to 40, depending on, most of the time the guys get tired. We do a lot of half-day trips, half-day for shad, and then we switch over and go finish out the day for smallmouth.
And I got to imagine this has got to be a great fishery for the kids.
Oh, yeah. And the nice thing about it is it's real inexpensive. It doesn't cost. You don't have to have a $200 rod. You don't have to have $10 lures. I mean, you can buy a $30 combo and $10 worth of shad flies, and you're set.
I like it. I got to ask one more question about fishing on the Umpqua. Way back in the day, one of my favorite authors, who's also an artist, Russell Chatham, wrote a little story about fly fishing on the Umpqua for shad. Do people still fly fish for shad on the Umpqua?
Yeah, quite a few. We had some guys from up in the Seattle area last week that come down and did some shad fishing of flies. You just have to have a really heavy, like a deep water express fly line, something to get down deep enough. But basically, that's the whole key to make it work, is just getting your presentation down deep enough.
Well, there you go. Folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to one of my favorite guys in the business. His name is Jody Smith. He's the owner of Jody Smith Guide Service, and his website is jodysmithguideservice.com. As you've just heard, you can go ahead and go fishing with them for spring Chinook. You can go ahead and bring the kids or bring the family and have a great day of shad fishing on the Umpqua. But let's talk about that other fish that's really dominant on the Umpqua, the smallmouth bass. That's another one where you can go out and catch, 50, 60 a day, isn't it?
I had a guy last year who had 147 by lunch.
Okay, well, I guess I'm not as good of a fisherman as some of your clients, but that's okay.
It's the area. We have quite a bit of private access where we're fishing down here, so there's a lot more fish, and you don't have to be as good. You just have to have more fish, but it's a great fishery. I mean, it's very, very common to have 100 per angler per day. With the right tackle, you can fish topwater all day long. Or if you don't want to cast and want to just fish rubber worms or grubs or something like that, there's many, many different presentations that'll work. And it's great for the kids because this year, as I said, the water is so low that it's going to be a lot of sight fishing. So it's really good for the kids where they can actually watch the fish bite their lure. Keeps them pretty well entertained. And as they get tired of fishing for a while, we can pull over and they can swim.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was down at the Big K Ranch down there on the Umpqua a couple years ago, and that's exactly what we did. Took my daughter out with one of the guides there. We had a great day. She had an absolute ball catching smallmouth bass all day long, and it's a fun fishery, too. It's not like, you're using bass boats like on the lakes. You're fishing out of a drift boat, aren't you?
Yeah, and it's nice because a lot of the drifts down here, you don't have a highway on either side, so it's really quiet. 2 years ago, we had a bear swim the river. We see elk, very common, deer, osprey, eagles, occasionally hook into a summer steelhead for a little while. And, yeah, it's a lot of fun, very active. You can make it as challenging as you want to. Like I said, a lot of fly fishing, a lot of top water. It's a lot of fun. We're like in the top 3 in the nation every year for our smallmouth fishery here on the Umpqua.
I know there's a lot of smallmouth bass and a lot of those 8 to 12 inchers, which are really fun to catch all day, but there are some good-sized bass in there. I know we picked up a 3-pounder the day I went. What's the biggest ones that you tend to see every season?
The biggest I've ever caught 24 inches is right at 8 pounds.
Nice.
At the time, the state record was 8.2 ounces, 8 pounds, 2 ounces. And 3 of us guys caught that fish and released it. Last year, the biggest one was like 5.4 pounds that we caught, but we don't average. We shoot for getting one between 17 and 18 inches every day. So that's like a 3-pound bass.
Yep, and those are good bass. So again, if you're after lots of fish, shad or smallmouth bass are definitely a good deal. The shad, that run's going to end about mid-June, isn't it?
It should. This year, like I said, everything's a little bit behind. I mean, everything started early this year with the water level, the temperature, and everything else with no snowpack. That I think everything's going to be a little bit earlier to finish up this year.
But the great thing about the bass is that goes all spring, summer, and fall long. Is there anything else going on in the Umpqua that our listeners ought to know about?
Down in the Tidewater, they are just spanking the pink fin perch. And the limit, I believe, is 25 per person, and they've been getting their limits like 4 boats. I mean, four men on a boat, or 4 people on a boat have been limiting out in like an hour and 45 minutes.
And what's the drill for catching those? I've never heard of this fishery before.
Yeah, it's really good. It seems like a little bit of outgoing tide's the best, and you just go down off the channel down in Reedsport in the tidewater and get outgoing tide and use like a 2-ounce sinker on the bottom, and then about every 8 to 12 inches up the line, you can run up to 3 hook. Sand shrimp works good, little grubs, and just cast out there, set it in a rod holder. Sometimes you'll land 3 at one time.
Oh, geez.
Sometimes 1, sometimes 2, but yeah, they'll get pretty good. They'll get up to 3 pounds, and they're really, really good eating. The fish tacos made out of them are to die for.
Jody, as always, every time we talk, I just want to run down there and go fishing with you. We are out of time, but folks, if you want to go fishing with Jody Smith, go to his website. It's jodysmithguideservice.com. He'll take you fishing for springers, for bass, for shad, even for perch, and later in the year for steelhead too. And oh, by the way, he's a great turkey hunting guide on top of that. His phone number, 541-643-6258. That's 541-643-6258, or his website again, Jody with a Y, smithguideservice.com. Jody, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for the update from Western Oregon.
All right, thanks, John.
I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your camping equipment and fishing gear and head out to Northeast Oregon, where you'll find the views are endless, the air crisp and clean, and the water's cold and clear. Set up camp by the shores of Wallowa Lake or in the heart of the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest. Take your fishing gear and cast your bait into the deep waters of Wallowa Lake, or roll your fly into one of the eddies of the many freestone creeks and rivers teeming with fish. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us here again from Max Lure Company is Lance Mers. Lance, it is springer time here in the Northwest. They are biting from the Icicle River in north central Washington to the Wenatchee, and especially on the Columbia River and quite a few other tributaries. What are people using to get springers in the boat?
John, if it's a Max Lure products, they're using the Smile Blade herring rig. And the cool thing about it is they have 2 4/0 size hooks, and it's got a bobber stop, so you can actually move that hook to fit the herring that they're using.
So question for you. A lot of people fish plug cut herring. Is that how you're fishing this, or are you actually fishing a whole herring with this rig?
No, you're going to do a cut plug. You make sure that you got that right diagonal cut, on the herring itself. But you can switch up the hooks on it to give you that bend in the herring itself, so you get that spin that those fish love to eat.
It's funny. Different rivers, different customs, different tactics. I know in portions of the mid-Columbia and the lower Columbia, they spend a lot of time trolling plug cut herring with just a flasher. Would something like this work down there?
Absolutely. But I've done this down there on the lower Columbia, and I've changed it up. Use a Max Lure 7.6-inch Double D Dodger. Troll it behind this Smile Blade herring rig. It's got a smile blade on it. Gives you a lot of flash and attraction. It's something different. Those fish will bite it.
Well, there you go. And especially with all the pressure and all the same offerings these fish have seen as they've been spinning their way upstream up the Columbia, this might be the lure that does the trick. Anything else you want to tell folks about the Max Smile Blade herring rig?
John, the Smile Blade herring rig is simple and effective, but deadly on fish.
Well, there you go, folks. Look for the Max Smile Blade herring rig at sporting goods stores near you, or maybe wherever you buy herring. If you can't find it there, just go online. You'll find it at maxlure.com. And that wraps up another Max Minute from Max Lure Company.
Looking for that extra something that will get more salmon or trout into your boat? Then check out the Double D Dodger from Max Lure. The Double D does double duty and helps you catch more fish. The Double D's flash attracts lunkers, and the Dodger's patented stop-start action works wonders to get those fish biting. The Double D does even more by acting as a side planer to get your bait away from the boat where the fish are more likely to be and more apt to strike. The Double D Dodger. It's the Dodger you've got to have from Max Lure.
Nate Luther wants to take you fishing for monster sturgeon on the Snake River and Hell's Canyon. Find out more by going to Nate's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service, or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. To join us, go to pheasantsforever.org.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We've got a really cool event to tell you about, especially if you are a woman out there who enjoys the outdoors. With us here to tell us about the second annual Northwest Ladies Hunting Camp is Candy Yao. Candy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, Candy, you've got quite the pedigree to put on this event. I know you're from La Pine, Oregon. You're the co-host of Extreme Desire, a popular big game hunting show seen on the Pursuit Channel and Wild TV in the past. And you're pro staffing for a couple of companies as well. What is this hunting camp taking place between June 12th and the 14th in Western Oregon all about?
Well, there's a lot of opportunities out there for women to go to learn to shoot or to do particular events that can lead you to the outdoors and to hunting. But I thought there's never really been a camp that teaches you the basics of going out there and actually being able to be in the field and learn everything from orienteering to how to quick quarter an animal to, the shooting events, what to put in your pack, how to start a fire, safety, even down to the cooking. And I thought, how fun would it be to get a group of ladies together and teach them every aspect of hunting? So that's sort of where we came up with this idea, and it's growing rapidly.
I really like it. The concept is basically self-sufficiency for women in the outdoors, isn't it?
That's correct.
Nice. Very nice indeed. You know, that's something that's been lacking. We actually had a show recently where we were talking to a professor about barriers to women participating in the outdoor sports, and that was the number one thing, was a lack of confidence of women going out on their own and doing this. So it's great this camp is going to be taking place. Where is it going to take place? Let's talk about the setting.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful. We're going to be camping along the Lucky and Mute Valley River in Monmouth, Oregon, and the people that have Lucky and Mute Valley pheasants have offered their facilities there, and it is breathtaking. We have the whole place to ourselves for 2 days. It's June 13th and 14th, and like I said, we camp right along the river. They've got a little barn, so if it's cold in the morning, we can build a fire and cook breakfast in there. It's absolutely perfect for what we're trying to do. We can do different stations for all the different classes, and it's just relaxing and fun.
It sounds like a great opportunity, and I like the fact that, again, if there's inclement weather, there's a place you can go to cook and actually offer some of the classes you're going to be doing. But let's run through the agenda. So if a woman signs up for this, they're going to show up on Friday the 12th, and just kind of run me through the weekend.
Sure. Friday afternoon, we are actually going to have some fly fishing demonstrations and some catch and release. It's not a class. It's not required. And then we'll just sit around and tell stories around the campfire in the evening and just get to know each other. Saturday morning, starting at 7, we'll have breakfast, and then we'll just start with our classes. Saturday is going to be our main rifle shooting day, so, the ladies will focus on that, but all the other classes will be running as well. Saturday evening, we're going to have, this is really fun, we have a big barbecue and do a lot of Dutch oven cooking, and then we're going to have an outdoor apparel and concealed carry fashion show.
Oh, my.
So we're bringing in all the top names, basically all the women's brands of outdoor apparel, and the concealed ladies, they've really thrown some cool stuff at us. And a lot of this stuff is also door prizes. So all these ladies get opportunities to win some incredible door prizes as well. And then Sunday, we'll start with breakfast at 7. We're going to have a quick little church service, and then it's classes as normal until about 3 or 4 o'clock. We'll break up and let everybody get back to the grind of going back to work. So,
Candy, this sounds fantastic. Folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Candy Yao. She's putting together the second annual Northwest Ladies Hunting Camp. It's taking place June 12th through the 14th at a pheasant camp not too far from Salem, Oregon. How many people, attend this? Is there a ceiling on how many people can attend this camp?
There is. I'm looking at probably 40 registered ladies registered to take the camp, but there's probably going to be at least another 20 or more as far as instructors and helpers are putting it on. So it's going to be a pretty big group. We would ceiling it out at 50. If we get more than 50, we're going to have to cut it off just because I'd have to bring in more instructors at that point.
And I guess we should talk about some of the instructors because you got some pretty big names, don't you?
Yes, we've got some of the very best in the whole industry coming, so we're super excited.
Well, share. Who are they?
Yes, we have Michelle Bodenheimer she's right here in Portland, and she's a Cabela's Pro Staff, as well as she's got numerous writing and photography credentials behind her. April Mack is going to be coming in with the ODF&W shotgun range with the trailer. She's teaching shotgun. Rihanna Carey, who is a Bowtech Pro Staff, she's in charge of our archery. She's bringing almost all the ladies on the Bowtech Pro Staff, so that is going to be incredible. Christy Titus, I think everybody knows Christy.
Oh, yes.
She's the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation lady. She's world champion elk caller. We're super excited to have Christy come this year. Jennifer Holbrook is a national shooting champion. She has not done a whole lot of hunting, but her shooting skills are impeccable, and she's super, super good to work with. Heather Aldrich is from Washington, and they have Bravo tents. This is their second year helping. They're going to go over how to put up a tent under any weather conditions, and she's also in charge of our church service on Sunday. So it's going to be pretty amazing.
Candy, this is truly an all-star lineup. You know, what's the cost, and what do women need to bring if they want to attend?
The cost is $200, and that basically covers all your food and whatever it takes to put on the clinic the classes for 2 days. All they need to bring is something to camp in or come with a group. Most of the ladies are bringing tents and camping right along the river. There are some, if you go online, it shows the closest motels, and there are a couple bed and breakfasts fairly close also if they prefer not to camp out. But we encourage them to camp. That's sort of part of the whole atmosphere and grasping everything about this entire camp.
Sure, absolutely. What about RVs or travel trailers or even,
You betcha.
Okay.
Yeah, they're welcome. There are no plug-ins. It have to be self-contained, but we'll probably take an RV ourselves.
Okay. This is fantastic. And folks, $200, that is an absolute rock-bottom bargain for the quality of instruction you're going to get here. And I love the fact that you're basically, a woman might show up who's got some experience, we'll just say, hunting birds. But they're going to be exposed to all these other aspects of hunting and outdoor recreation. And it sounds like they're going to walk away with a whole bunch of confidence and a whole lot of new skills that, frankly, I'm jealous of. I'd love to attend.
We actually have several men say that to us. So we're in the future looking to put on a family camp because we'd also like to reach out to youth in the future also. So
one other question I want to ask. I understand this is a woman's camp, but can the family come along and at least be a spectator to certain portions of the weekend if they want to make a family weekend out of this?
You bet. We're actually encouraging that this year. We've got several of the husbands and children coming along. The only thing that we'll do is just ask for, enough money to cover their food is it, and knowing ahead of time enough that we have enough food. But yes, we're encouraging all families and youth to start being involved in this.
Okay, I have a feeling this is going to fill up. So, Candy, let's go ahead and steer folks to a website so they can go ahead and sign up.
You betcha. It's super easy. You just go to ladieshunting.com. Registration's right there, all the information. The classes and the schedule will actually be listed this week also, so they can start sort of picking and choosing which classes they'd like to get into. And, of course, they can change those when they get there if they need. But ladieshunting.com.
That's ladieshunting.com. Now, the $200 price was an early bird price, and this is filling up quick. What is the price now? And people obviously need to sign up now.
Yes, $200 until June 1st, and then we're going to charge $265 after June 1st.
All right, so $200 before June 1st, $265 after. Space is limited. Fantastic opportunity if you're a woman out there to learn a whole bunch of skills that are going to make you more confident when you go outside and play in this great wilderness that we love. It's the second annual Northwest Ladies Hunting Camp taking place June 12th through the 14th near Salem, Oregon, and the website again is ladieshunting.com. Candy, thanks so much for being on the show and telling us all about this great event.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hope to see a bunch of ladies there.
Good hunters know before you take that shot, you've got to see the whole picture. Now, the best way to do that is with a spotting scope, binoculars, or a rifle scope, but it's got to be from Leupold. Now, Leupold is a Northwest company with a reputation that stretches across the world for making superior optics. The kind of optics that allow you to see what you need before making that stock or pulling that trigger. Look for Leupold Optics at your local Cabela store, Dick's Sporting Goods, or online at leupold.com. Leupold, America's optical authority.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
With an Evinrude motor and Minn Kota troller and Lowrance fish finder or two.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir, where right now, to quote a song, and to quote it badly, it's all about that bass, about that bass, about that bass. That's right. I'm butchering this song in a bad way to let you know that it's all about the bass at Potholes Reservoir right now. The Mardon Bass Open held at the resort was a huge success, and the winning team of Dana Steiner and Andy Smith weighed in 49.1 pounds of largemouth bass during the two-day tournament. That's right. The average weight of each one of the 10 bass that was caught and released was around 5 pounds. Absolutely incredible. The smallmouth bass are biting too and continue to be very active in the Lynn Coulee as well as the rocks around Goose Island. If you're in the mood for trout, try soaking some power bait in nearby Warden Lake, which has been giving up quite a few limits, and Corral Lake, just across the road and down the hill from the resort, has also been a trout hotspot the last couple of weeks. Make your plans to catch bass and trout now and stay at Mardon Resort when you do so. Go to their website to find out more. It's mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. Turning to some offbeat news from the Associated Press and the Lewiston Tribune. Have you ever gone outside after it's rained? Of course you have. And you've probably noticed earthworms on the pavement that have either been washed there or found their way there from nearby grass lawns and such. Well, imagine finding a 3-foot-long earthworm after a rainstorm. Earthworm enthusiast Cass Davis found not one, but 3 of these gigantic worms known as the Palouse earthworm 2 weekends ago while hiking along Paradise Ridge Road south of Moscow, Idaho. University of Idaho researchers will need to do genetic analysis to confirm the species, but believe Davis has found giant Palouse earthworms, which are found only in the Palouse Prairie and are considered extremely rare. How rare are they? Well, let's put it this way. They were thought to be extinct until a University of Idaho researcher found one in 2005. One had not been seen for 18 years before that time. So finding one, let alone 3, is quite a find. Hopefully, they'll make a big comeback. I bet they would be the ultimate bait for sturgeon in the nearby Snake River. Turning to news of the season, it's that time of year again to once again ask well-intended folks out there to please leave the baby animals you find in the forest or on the beach alone, because by quote-unquote rescuing them, you're often not helping them at all. Phil Cooper with the Idaho Department of Fish and Game shares stories in a recent news release about individuals who bring fawns into their local Fish and Game office and say, "I stayed there and watched it all day and the doe never came back." Well, guess what? Did it ever occur to you that by being close to the fawn and watching it, you were keeping the doe away? Duh! The same thing goes for elk, for antelope, and over on the coast for seal pups too. Cooper also cautions about rescuing a baby animal and raising it on your own. Young wildlife requires special care and feeding that is beyond what the average household can handle. On top of that, possession of most species of wildlife taken from the wild is illegal in our northwestern states. The bottom line, according to Cooper, is this: attempting to make household or backyard pets out of wild animals is a losing proposition. Fuzzy, cute, cuddly raccoons, rabbits, fawns, etc. become adults with adult wildlife instincts and behaviors. None of these are conducive to a life in your home or your backyard. If you do find a seriously injured animal, or in those extremely rare instances where you know for a fact that a brood or a litter has lost its parents, then and only then intervention may turn out to be appropriate. If that's the case, contact your state Fish and Wildlife Department and let them know. But otherwise, trust nature to take care of its own. Those mothers tend to do just fine without you. Turning back to fishing reports, the annual Spring Mac Days tournament ended this month on Flathead Lake in western Montana, and once again, quite a few lake trout were turned in. Bob Turner caught the biggest Mackinaw this spring, a lunker that measured 41 inches and weighed 24.4 pounds. A total of 27,746 lake trout were turned in during the Derby that ran from March 20th through May 17th. That's a lot of Lakers. The Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes run both spring and fall Mac Day derbies to help control the non-native lake trout population and bring back native fish like the bull trout. Even though the derby is over for now, the fishing is good. So if you want to go after some Lakers and spend time on a beautiful body of water, a trip to Flathead Lake might be a good bet for you this summer. Next up, we've got a fishing report, and it's from our friend Lance Mers from Max Lure Company. You heard him earlier on the show, but we had to talk to him about a fishing trip he just got back from. You were in northern Idaho, Hayden Lake. Tell me about this lake and tell me about the fishing.
You know, the lake is absolutely beautiful. It's surrounded by trees and hills, and it's just a beautiful lake. But I was specifically targeting kokanee, and they've got an abundance of those fish in that lake, John.
So this is one of the Panhandle lakes. Is it a pretty big one in comparison to some of the chain lakes in the St. Mary's area?
It's a little smaller, but it's still effective. You know, the deepest part of the lake is probably about 200 feet, but didn't even have to fish that.
Okay, so tell me about the kokanee. What size class are we talking about here?
Well, they're probably a third-year fish. So the average fish, is between 13 to 14 inches, which is a really nice kokanee.
Oh, that's fantastic for kokanee.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, you'll run across some bigger sometimes, but I'll take those all day for the grill. And let's talk about something else here. What's the limit in Idaho for kokanee?
Well, on Hayden Lake, John, it's 15 per person.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're getting a cooler full of fish, that's for sure.
Oh, this sounds fantastic. So, here's the big thing. How did you catch your limits of fish every day?
Well, I'll give you the breakdown. I was trolling at about 1.2 miles an hour. I was fishing anywhere between 25 to 30 feet deep. I was using a pink Max Lure Cha-Cha kokanee squidder with a Max Lure 4-inch Double D Dodger. And I was using about a very short leader, 14 to 16 inches. And I was tipping them with both shoe peg corn on there. And they were just nailing them.
So were you kind of long lining this using leaded line, or were you using a downrigger ball?
There was actually one day where I didn't even have to use my downriggers at all. I was flatlining out of the boat about 100 feet out of the back of the boat, and they were on the surface. My gosh. It was really cool because I actually saw an osprey come right into the front of the boat and pick up a live kokanee. And I said, well, I'm getting rid of my downriggers today. So it was cool.
Oh, what a fabulous trip. So obviously, as summer progresses, these fish are going to go deeper, to get away from the heat. But is this a fishery you expect to hold up all summer long?
Absolutely. In fact, there's other lakes around there like Pend Oreille, which just reintroduced kokanee about 3 or 4 years ago, and the fishery is picking up. It's becoming increasingly popular with the locals and, people from Idaho, Montana, and even Washington. They're coming over and they're fishing these fish.
Well, and that's the great thing about the Panhandle there is, very easily accessible for people in the Spokane area, in the Missoula area, and especially the closest town of all, Coeur d'Alene. So, Hayden Lake and some of the other lakes up there in the Panhandle, check them out for kokanee, and now you know what to use. Let's go ahead and give people a website to find out more about Max Lure products.
All right, that's pretty easy. Go to www.maxlure.com.
maxlure.com, and that's Lance Mers with Max Lure. Lance, always a pleasure.
Thanks, John.
Musky spinners and lures. Oh, honey, I love you, and that's not a lie. Musky guides all tell the truth. This must be the reason why I miss fishing more than I miss you.
Hi, this is Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Many of our Shiloh customers have been visiting our Shiloh locations for years, and here's an example of someone who wouldn't stay anywhere else.
Sometimes I go visit family, but most of the time I travel back and forth for business. And the best part is that I always travel with my dog Lucky, and he's welcome at any of the Shiloh Inns. I love their beds, beautiful rooms, really clean. The staff go out of their way to make me feel comfortable. Business area when I need it. Man, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, do I ever enjoy that pool and the spa. Plus, free breakfast. I love Shiloh Inns. It's everything I need.
We invite all of you to try Shiloh Inns the next time you're traveling for business or pleasure. Call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohins.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX McKenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your McKenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Weimar stores. BX McKenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
Nate Luther wants to take you fishing for monster sturgeon on the Snake River and Hell's Canyon. If you're looking for a fishing adventure, this one is hard to beat. Find out more by going to Nate's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service, or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
This is Commissioner of Public Lands Peter Goldmark. Whether you live on the west or east side of the Cascades, dry weather means greater risk of wildfire. Please respect burn bans and completely put out campfires. Get more information at dnr.wa.gov.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out in the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time again for the Sportsman's Warehouse upcoming events and trivia question of the week. Hikers will want to attend a seminar being given by Steve Godfrey on June 6th from 1 to 2 p.m. at the East Wenatchee store in Washington, because he'll be demonstrating different water filtering and purifying techniques. The days of drinking from the stream and the lake without purifying your water first are long, long gone, and this demo will help you choose the right system to take with you in the backcountry. On Friday, June 12th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., there's going to be a Cooking with Camp Chef seminar that will teach you how to get the best results out of those great Camp Chef smokers, stoves, and Dutch ovens they sell at the store. The following day, June 13th, they're offering a long-range shooting class for hunters at the Medford store from 1 to 3 p.m. that will go over the basics and help you get your rifle ready to take some longer shots with success this fall. And now, for your question of the week. We're sticking to the birds as we ask you what the state bird is for the great state of Montana. Is it the osprey? Is it the sage grouse? Or is it the western meadowlark? All three are great birds you'll find in Montana, but only one of them is recognized as a state bird. Your choices again, the osprey, the sage grouse, or the western meadowlark. Send us your answers through our website on our contact page at northwesternoutdoors.com, or like our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Find the link that we've got there and give us your answer there. Either way is just fine, whether it's on Northwestern Outdoors Radio on Facebook or on our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. Everyone who guesses right is entered to win a $25 gift card from Sportsman's Warehouse. We'll give it out to one of the right lucky entrants at the end of our last broadcast this weekend. In other upcoming events, free fishing days are coming up soon in our northwestern states. In both Oregon and Washington, you can fish for free, no license required, on June 6th or 7th. You can do the same in Idaho on June 13th, and in Montana, your free fishing days occur on June 20th and the 21st. These are great days to head out on the water and introduce a new person to the sport of fishing, or consider going to another state and avoiding the non-resident fees and plan a fishing trip on one of the free fishing days. Aha! Thinking smart, aren't we? All right, that's all for this week. Again, Don't forget to check out our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. Not only will you find links to find out more about the guests we have on our show, but you'll also get to hear last week's broadcast, just in case you missed it. You can find us, as we mentioned, on Facebook, too, at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're always posting information there that doesn't necessarily make it on the show. And don't forget to check us out on the internet at RenoViolaOutdoors.com. We are part of the program lineup there. It's actually an internet channel that's dedicated to outdoors radio programming. We're one of 32 programs that airs there 7 days a week. That's RenoViolaOutdoors.com. Spring is here, summer is coming, and it's been a lot of fun out there. So until next time, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.